Okay. So in the last session, we discussed about to create the business transaction in the system environment. What data we require? We require date, description, amount. To capture the date, we have to create the accounting calendar. To address the amount, we have to set up the currency. And to capture the details of the transaction, we have to create the chart of accounts. So within the chart of accounts, we have to create minimum 2 segments, max 30 segments. To create the chart of accounts, what are the steps we have to follow within instance, we'll see. Okay, to create the chart of accounts, what are the steps we have to follow, we'll see. For our testing purpose, let's create one chart of account with 3 segments. Later, we will see how to load the chart of accounts into the system through automatic process. There we will try to understand reality. We create these number of segments for what purpose and what are the best practices when you create the chart of accounts. When you create chart of accounts, what we have to understand. We'll discuss all those points. For our testing purpose, I will go and create chart of accounts with the 3 segments. Let's create chart of accounts with segments like company, department. So already we discussed minimum 2 segments are required. Those 2 segments are typically company and account. Okay. When you create the chart of accounts, minimum you have to create 2 segments. Those 2 are company and account. Now for our testing, we'll create 3 segments in the chart of accounts. To create the chart of accounts, what setups we have to perform? Already we discussed for each segment, we required one value set. For company value set, for department, account. First, we have to create value sets. Create value sets. After creating the value sets, we have to create chart of account structure. You can call it a chart of account structure or chart of account structure name. Create chart of accounts structure. Create the chart of account structure. Within the structure, we have to create segments. Within the chart of account structure, we have to create the segments. So create segments. Okay, we have to create the segments. To segments, we have to assign the value sets. For company segment, we have to assign company value set. For department, for account value set. We have to assign the value sets to segments. So assign value sets to segments. Okay. Assign value sets to segment. Yeah, please, you can unmute and you can raise your question. At any point of time, you can stop me and you can raise your question.
Lakshman, this is Prasanna here.
Please.
Actually, I joined today only. Just want to know how many classes left already.
If you don't mind, we can discuss at the end of the session.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we completed 8 sessions.
Okay.
Yeah. Fine. We can discuss in the end of the session.
Sure, Lakshman. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we have to assign the value between value setups, value sets. Sorry. So we have to assign value sets to segments. And to segments, we have to assign segment labels also. So assign segment labels to segments. We will understand all these points going forward. For now, just take as a steps which we are going to follow. What is the purpose and all? Very soon we'll understand. Okay. We have to assign the value sets to segment. Same time, we have to assign segment labels to segments. the segment labels to segments. After completing this, we have to create chart of account structure instance. So create chart of account structure instance. Here, instance means already we discussed. Very initially we discussed instance means the copy of software product what Oracle is providing. The meaning of instance is copy. Here, chart of account structure instance means the copy of chart of account structure. That's all. So what are the chart of account structure we are creating with all this information that we have to make a copy that we call as instance. After creating the chart of account structure instance, we have to deploy it. We have to submit for validation purpose. So deploy. See here, before we discuss about it, where we are going to create the chart of account structure, we are going to create in the accounting key flex field. We have to deploy this accounting key flex field. The name is accounting key flex field, but ideally you see the system, the display name as accounting flex field. Okay. Actual name is accounting key flex field. Simply you can find in the system as accounting flex field. So where we are going to create the chart of account structure within the accounting flex field. That accounting flex field you have to submit for validation. So within that accounting flex field only we are going to create our chart of account structure instance and everything. So that means if we are submitting accounting flex field for validation, we are submitting our chart of accounts also for validation. That is the meaning of it. Say deploy accounting flex field. After deployment, we have to create values in the value sets. Till deployment, we should not create the values in the value sets. Why we should not create at the time of creation, we will discuss. Okay. After completing the deployment, then we have to create the values in these value sets like this, in these three value sets. So this is how you can create the values. This is what we have to understand. Say, create segment values. You can call it as create segment values, or you can say create values in the value sets. Anything is fine. Segment values means whatever you create through value set, those are the segment values. Directly, you cannot create any values for any segment. Through value set only you can create. So these are the steps we are going to follow. With these steps, we can complete the chart of accounts creation. Once chart of account is ready, we'll discuss how to create the transactions in the system. Right? We'll go and see. Okay. Say in the whatever we are discussing here in the chart of accounts, you can find as a little complex. That means certain new terminologies in the sense it's kind of hierarchy. We have to manage the description related data. And when you create, we come across with the different terms like segment values, instance. This is all we have to see at least one time in the system. I'm just trying to introduce what is the meaning of chart of account, what steps need to be followed to create the chart of accounts. Let's go through it. Okay, let's go through it. And you also please try from your end. You practice one time, then look at the chart of accounts. You'll feel more comfortable. Certain things before you practice, easily you can understand. When I am explaining, there itself you'll get clarity. But certain things you have to attend that discussions and you have to see in the system and you have to practice from your end. Then you'll get more clarity and you'll feel more comfortable about that concept or topic. Okay. So chart of account is the concept which you have to practice from your end also, so that you can look at that chart of account so that you will get more meaning out of it, what exactly we are doing. And we have to create the segment values. When you create the segment values, we have to assign the value attributes to segment values. Take all these points. Please make a note. Please make a note. Okay. Please make a note, and we have to read and remember all these points. So assign value attributes to segment values. So value attributes. So say value attributes. I'm just highlighting, and here segment labels. Now we'll go and create the value sets for these three segments. Okay, let's create three value sets for these three segments. So very simple process. So go to our implementation project. Let's go to navigator here. 1 second. Okay. Now go to our implementation project. Already we have seen these navigations and all, right? You have to click on username and you have to click on setup and maintenance so that we can navigate to FSM. And here go to task list and click on manage implementation projects. Click on overview. Whatever the project is assigned to our user, you can see that. This is a project we created, Amex implementation project. Open this project. From this project, we are going to complete these setups. Okay, we are going to complete these setups. So search for the task called as chart of accounts value sets. We are going to create value sets to use in the chart of accounts only. That is the reason the name you can find as chart of accounts value sets. Search for chart of accounts value sets. You can search, just drag little right. Now here you can see manage chart of account value sets. The task is available from different offerings and paths. Product management, financials, procurement, product management. Okay, you can find the same task from the different offerings. So you can click on any one of the tasks. All will navigate us to same page. Paths are different, destination is same. Click on manage chart of accounts value sets. Click on manage chart of accounts value sets. Here you can notice. Okay, here you can notice first task is manage chart of account value sets. Okay, and second task is manage chart of account structures. The same we discussed. First task is chart of account manage. Here name we written as value sets. That is nothing but chart of accounts value sets only. First value sets we have to create. The next step is we have to create chart of account structure. Next step is chart of account structure. The third step is manage chart of account structure instances. As a part of chart of account structure itself, we'll complete all this. Within the chart of account structure itself, we create segments, we assign value sets to segments, we assign segment labels to segments. After that, we have to create the instance, chart of account structure instance. After that, we can create the values. Before we create values, we submit for deployment. We'll submit our accounting flex field for deployment so that within that accounting flex field, what are the chart of accounts we are creating, that would get submitted for validation purpose. After validation is complete, we can create the values in the value sets, nothing but segment values. To the same values, we have to assign the value attributes. What does it mean by value attributes, segment labels, etc.? We'll discuss. Fine. First, we are going to create the value sets. The value sets you call as chart of accounts value sets. This is the task. Here you can see no task is mandatory. Here there is no star mark. You can notice here. Okay. So because we navigated to this task from product management. Reality, these tasks are belongs to financials. Within the financials, without completing these setups, you cannot use any application. Okay, from finance side, these are mandatory. Okay, if you are going to work on SCM and procurement, if you want to create the transaction, these setups are required. Okay, that is the reason we are doing. If I don't take you through these setups directly, if you jump into SCM, you have to depend on the setups which are created by someone else, how they created. You cannot say anything since you don't know about those. If those are not working when you're practicing, you cannot do anything. Okay, so it will create big confusion. That is the reason just we are trying to understand the very basic setups which are required from finance to support our supply chain management applications. Now what you can do is you can choose the task which is available from financials path. Anyone you can use, just to show you, like in finance side, it shows as a mandatory. I'm taking through that. Any task you can choose, all will take us to same page. Now here is the finance path. Click on manage chart of accounts value sets. Now see here, they are giving star mark. Okay, finance side, these are required. When you create in the finance, then only you can use in the other applications also. Okay, the task name is manage chart of accounts value sets. Click on go to task icon. Just click on go to task icon. Here you can create the value sets. Say already you created value sets. If you want to find out those value sets, here you can search. You can give the value set code, etc. You can search and find. But we never created any value sets. In every implementation we have to create. Oracle never provides any value sets. So now how many value sets we have to create? 3 value sets. So 3 companies, 3 value sets. Let's create. Click on create icon. You can give the value set code. When you create value sets, you can take company name as a prefix, because this is a practice instance. If you directly give the name as a company value set, there might be value sets which are similar to the same name. So it will create some confusion for us when we are going to use those value sets. Always what you can do is you can just do all the setups by taking some company name. Okay. I'm going to take company name as already we discussed. Project also we created with American Express. So short name is Amex. I'm giving the name as value set name as Amex company. Okay, Amex company value set. You don't need to write it as a value set. You may write, may not write. This is a value set because you are creating in the value set page. It's a value set only. You don't need to write it. Ideally, we don't write it. Simply we write as a company name and segment name. For which segment we are going to use this value set, that you can include. So description field is optional. The value set code field is mandatory. You can see here the field is mandatory. The description is optional. If you want to take the same, you can take as a description, or else you can write something else as a description. Now this value set we are going to create in which application, or say we are going to use this in which application? We are going to use in the GL. Here already we discussed. We create chart of accounts. Within the chart of accounts only we need segments and value sets. Where we are going to create chart of accounts? Within the accounting key flex field. Accounting key flex field belongs to general ledger application. That means the value set belongs to general ledger application. So select module. Module is nothing but application. Select module as a general ledger. Okay. Select module as a general ledger. Fine. So we given value set code, and description is optional. If you want to take, you can take, or else ignore, or else you can copy the code as a description. And this value set we are going to use in which application? General ledger application. The validation type. Your validation type select as independent. That means when you talk about company, all companies are independent. Okay, you want to create when you are going to maintain the data, you want to maintain as independent. You don't want to make as a dependency on other company. When it comes to transaction creation and all, you have to find out those as a separate companies. Those maybe companies are branches in the company, it doesn't matter. When you create value set for company, select validation type as independent, so that You can create separate values. You don't need to link one with other. Okay. So just take as independent. Now value data type. Within this company value set, what data you are going to create? We are going to create companies. So value data type, here you can say character. You can select character. That means you can create company code and you can enter the company description. If you take number only, you can enter the numbers. Companies you can enter only with numbers or date and time. These all are not required. Always select character only. It will allow you alphanumeric. You can give the company code and you can write the description like this. This is how you can give the company code. This is how you can write the description. If you select number, only number you can enter. No description is possible. Only with a number you have to represent everything. Always select value data type as character. And ignore this. This is a separate feature within the general ledger application that we don't need to touch. Okay, that can be managed by finance team and all. So here select value subtype. Okay, value subtype you select as a text. Okay, so not numbers, time, etc. Select text only. Select text. When we are going to create the companies within this company value set, what is the size you want to give for company codes? The maximum length is nothing but size. If you see in our example, we given 10, 20, 30. That means the size is 2-digit number. Here we given 1. Here also we given 1. Okay, 2 digits, 1 digit. So what? How many digits? What should be your company code with how many? In how many digits you want to create the company code? The reality. So this client will decide. Client says they need 1-digit company codes or 2-digit or 3 or 4 or 5. So let's give code as a 4. We need company code in the 4 digits. Maximum length is 4. That means you can create the company code with 1 digit or 2 digits or 3, max 4 digits. Max 4 digits means the maximum 4-digit number is 9,999. That means you can create the companies in this value set from 1 to 9,999 companies you can create. And minimum value, maximum value. Here system will allow 1 to 9,999. Here just I'm writing 1 to 9,999. From 1 to this number it will allow. But I don't want to allow to enter the numbers in this value sets before 1,000 and after 9,000. Okay, 4-digit numbers. So any company codes you are going to enter, the company code should be in between this range only. Between 1,000 and 9,000. Before 1,000, you cannot give any code number. After 1,000, if you want to give any code for company, 9,100 you cannot give. Here we are setting the limit. Minimum value, maximum value. The same way within this value set, when you are creating companies, if you enable uppercase only, it will allow you to enter only uppercase. Here I written Amex Financial Services. If you give that, everything we have to write as a uppercase. If you try like this, Amex, it won't allow. It should be Amex Financial Services. Everything you have to write in the uppercase only. So if you want like that, you can enable the checkbox. And what is zero fill? Zero fill means, say, you are not giving this limit. Okay, you are not giving this limit. If you give enable zero fill, what system will do is, if you give company code as 1, maximum length how much? 4. Automatically will fill with the zeros. Zero fill. With the zeros, it will fill rest of digits. If you enter company code as 10, maximum length we given 4, remaining 2 digits it will fill with the zeros. Okay. If you give 100, one more digit is missing. It will fill with the 0. 1,000, same. No, nothing is there to fill. So this is how you can specify all this. Ideally, we don't use, just try to understand. Uppercase zero fill we don't set. This is how we create. Okay. So this is how we create. So how we are creating the value set? We are giving the value set code and we are giving the description and we are giving the application and validation type we are giving as an independent. Okay, value data type is character And value subtype is text, maximum length 4. That's all. Okay, this is not related to us, just not required that is separate feature and all. So this is how we have to create, say, save and close. So this is how you can create 2 more value sets. We created for company, create for department and account. Click on create. You can give the value set name as Amex department description. Module you can select as a general ledger. Module and application both are same. Validation type is select always independent. Ideally, this is a type we use. Even if you are going to create through automatic process also, system will select independent only, automatic. That's how they programmed. Okay, typically we use validation type as independent only. So value data type is character. Select value subtype as a text. Reality, these setup, the chart of accounts creation should be done by finance team. Okay. But now without creating this, we cannot do our SCM related setups. That is the reason just we are trying to understand how to create this. Okay. Without this, we cannot use any application. That is the reason it's mandatory we are creating. Really, if you are in the project, there will be finance team and they'll create, and your setups you can do, and you can do implementation what we have to do. But when you are learning, so there is no scope. Somebody is not going to create for us. Okay, this also we have to create. By using this, we can understand how that SCM applications can be implemented and all. So for department also you can give maximum length as a 4. Okay, the department codes also you want to create in 4 digits. And say save and close. Let's create one more value set for account. Amex account. Take this as a description. Select module, general ledger. Validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Subtype is text. Reality accounts, we go with the 5 digits, 6 digits also. Because in every organization, there will be accounts in thousands and lakhs also. So that is the reason. So 3, 4 length is not okay. You can go with the 5 or 6. We are selecting here 5. And say save and close. And say save and close. Done. Now, the next step is we have to create chart of account structure. Okay, we have to create the chart of account structure. Let's see how to create the chart of account structure. Before we go and create, we'll find out what are the value sets we created. Amex search. We created 3 value sets. You can see the same. Amex company, department, account. Yeah, answer. Now go to manage chart of account structures. We go to manage chart of account structures. Click on go to task icon. Click on go to task icon. So where we can create the chart of account structure, we can create the chart of account structure, the accounting key flex field, but in the system you see as a accounting flex field only. The accounting flex field, you can create the chart of account structure that we have in the general ledger application. Now we are at manage chart of account structure page. This is the task name, manage chart of account structures. Click on go to task icon. Here directly you can click on search. Directly you can click on search. Your system is displaying one record. Okay, without searching, if you want to create something, it is not possible. Once you navigate to this page, here no record is displaying, blank. Now click on search. So we have a general ledger application. Within the general ledger application, we have accounting flex field. Accounting flex field is nothing but accounting key flex field. See, the key flex field name is accounting flex field. Means accounting key flex field only. So within this accounting key flex field, we have to create our chart of account structure. To create the chart of account structure, click on manage structures. Okay, click on manage structures. Click on manage structures. Here you can create our chart of account structure. Okay, I'll repeat this navigation. So task name is manage chart of account structures. You don't need to search again. Whenever you navigate to the task called as value sets, manage chart of account value set. Next to that, you can find manage chart of account structures. You can click on go to task icon and click on search. Just click on search. Here you can find accounting flex field. Within this accounting flex field, we are going to create our chart of account structure. So click on this manage structures tab. Click on manage structures tab. From here, we can create our chart of account structure. Click on create. How we create chart of account structure? When you create the chart of account structure, ideally we provide the name as the company name plus accounting flex field. That means we are creating chart of account structure for Amex. So you can give the name like Amex accounting flex field. By using accounting flex field, we are creating the structure. That is the reason the same we include in the name. You can write the name as Amex chart of account structure, nothing wrong. But reality, when we create, we use the naming convention like Amex accounting flex field. If you want to write Amex chart of accounts, you can write it, nothing wrong. But generally, we don't take that kind of naming convention. Okay, let's create chart of account structure with this name, Amex accounting flex field. So Amex accounting flex field. Give the structure code, and the same code you can copy and you can take as a name as well as description. So within the structure, we are going to create these three segments. From these three segments, when we are going to create the transaction, this is how you have to select company code, department code, account code. When you select these codes, the codes need to be separated with a dot or slash. So that you have to set here. Delimiter is nothing but segment separator. How you want to separate the segment values when you create the transaction. Accounting code combination. When you create the accounting code combination, so 20 means consulting services, 1 means finance, 3 means laptop purchase. If there is no separation, how we can understand? There is no clue. This is 2013. You may think here. But the reason we have to separate them with a slash, okay, or with a dot or with other symbol. So this we have to create in the system as a set as a delimiter. Okay, let's use as a dot. It looks good. Okay, this is how you can separate. For that, in this chart of account structure level, you can give the delimiter as a dot, or else you can give hyphen or star mark, etc., etc. Okay, use dot or hyphen. Ideally, we can go with a dot. Now, here you can create the segments. Here title is there, but here the create icon is disabled. Okay, create icon is disabled. Once you provide the information here, you have to save it. After saving this, this create icon will get enabled. And one more very, very important point. When you create this chart of account structure, now I am creating. The same time, if you are going to create the chart of account structure from your end, say you started before me. Now, if I try to save it, system will show other user locked it. Means at a time, chart of accounts can be created by only one user. Only one can have access to this chart of account creation page. Rest of all can be accessed by many users at a time, no issues. But when we talk about chart of accounts, at a time, only one can have access. So when we are going to work on these practice instances, you may come across the issues. When you enter the data like this, when you click on save, it may show an error message saying that other user already logged. Okay. So in those scenarios, we have to wait for some time. That is only the option. Wait for some time. You will be able to create. Otherwise, now it won't allow you to save if other user also accessing the same chart of account related pages. Fine. I'm going to click on save. No user is accessing this page. That is the reason I'm able to save it. If other user is accessing, it will give the error message as other user locked. Okay. Other user locked. Okay, this is a different instance. Here we will check. I guess here you may get message. Just you can give any name, ABC, ABC, ABC. I'm selecting delimiter. I'm trying to save it. If any other users are working this instance, this is how you'll get message. Okay, see here. Error. Failed to log the record in the table FND, KF. You don't need to deal with this table and all. Simple point here you have to understand. Another user holds the log. Okay, another user is holding the log. That means another user is working on this chart of accounts page in this instance. Okay, so you try multiple times, no use. You have to wait for some time. Okay, if you are getting message like this, wait for 5 or 10 minutes and try. Still it is not working, take 1 hour break and you try that. Try creating the chart of account structure in that instance. Please remember this point. When you're practicing, definitely you come across with these scenarios. Okay, so still lock, holding the lock. We may try after some time. Okay, now this is the instance which we are using. So here, no other user is working at a time. We are able to save. After save,
Lakshman, one question.
please.
This deadlock situation is only happened with this GL flexfield structure or with other forms as well?
Only with this.
Okay. Because like in EBS, probably there also happens with sales order line updates at that time that goes into this kind of situation.
Which is that which you are referring?
In EBS, Oracle OM order management.
In order management, what you are referring?
That similar kind of situation happens. Somebody is already updating the records. This happens in EBS, Oracle management.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Here only with this. Okay, only this. You talk about setups and all, only with this. With other setups and all, same time you and me and others can do it. No issues. Okay.
Okay.
Please make a note. Only when you are creating the chart of account structure, you will come across with these scenarios. But if you are not able to create, if you are getting message like this, okay, and you try to save, if you are getting message like that, wait for some time and try after some.
So, but in a real implementation, we'll be having only one accounting flex field. Right?
Exactly. There you never face this kind of issue. You'll be, I mean, the finance team can create the chart of accounts and again others won't touch it. You never face that. Since we are using the instance for practice purpose, at the same time, multiple people might be practicing. Unfortunately, other person is started working on the chart of accounts before us. When we start creating the chart of account, definitely we get this message. Only the solution is wait for some time and try. That's all. Now, our chart of account structure name is ready. We given as Amex Accounting Flexfield. So within this, we want to create 3 segments. Okay, these 3 segments we want to create. Now click on create. Provide segment name. Our first segment is company. And here we'll discuss few points. We are going to create these 3 segments. These are segments. For these segments, we have to assign segment labels. Here we discussed. Assign segment labels to segments. we have to assign segment labels. For company segment, which label we have to assign. Okay, for company segment, you can assign the label called as primary balancing segment label. Just remember, you no need to do anything. Just remember for which segment we have to assign which label, and make a note and remember why we have to assign. Wherever you can see the impact of these labels for segments, there I'll explain it. Okay, very soon we'll understand. Don't expect to know why we are assigning now itself. I can explain, but it's very difficult to understand without seeing the proof. Okay. For department segment, we are going to assign a segment label called as cost center segment label. Why we are assigning? As of now, we are not discussing. After some time, we will understand. For account segment, which label we have to assign? How to assign natural account segment label. Fine. Account segment, we have to assign natural account segment label. So company primary balancing segment label, department cost center segment label, account natural account segment label. These three we have to assign. Why we have to assign, we will understand very soon. Okay, we are not discussing now. Just remember for which segment, which label. Why we don't know as of now. Right. Now let's create segment called as company. Okay. So after creating the structure, you have to click on create. And you can give segment name as company. Don't give Amex company and all segment names, not required. Already we are in the Amex accounting flexfield structure only. Inside segments, don't include company names. So they're just titles, what values are those? Company, department, account. Okay, just give segment code. Now use tab from keyboard. It will copy the segment code as an API name. API stands for Application Programming Interface. It is primarily for technical. Okay. If you are going to create new reports, okay, or you are going to do some developments or integrations, there you can use this field for reference purpose. You see here, pop-up also talks about the same. Okay, web services. Web services means ideally we use in the integrations. Integrating third-party applications, the fusion applications. There we use web services. Reporting means if you are going to create the custom reports and other integration points. Okay. So the name, once you provide the segment code, it will copy as API name. You don't touch it. Okay. Don't touch it. After some time, if you change it, the integrations will break. If somebody is doing, some client is using this integrations with other applications and all, they always refer with the mapping point of view, they always refer this field name only. We change that technical developments may not work. Okay. So you no need to do anything. Just give the segment code and use tab. It will copy the same with a completely lowercase, and you can proceed with the remaining fields. Our segment name also company, segment code and company same, and description same. Sequence number. Okay, sequence number. The sequence number means the number of the, within the chart of accounts. Okay, this is going to be with, what is the position like? It's the 1, 2, 3. That sequence we have to specify. And here one point is very important. Say for one segment you given sequence as 1, second segment you given 2, and other segment, next segment you given by mistake 4. Now in between 3 is missing. So that chart of accounts you cannot use. It doesn't work. It won't allow you to create the transactions. Make sure that there won't be any gap within the sequence number. Okay. For first segment I am giving 1. For second 2, third 3. That's how you can provide sequence without any gaps. Don't give sequence number 20, 30, 40. Always it will find as a gap. So prompt is nothing but display name. Okay, prompt is nothing but display name. So for company segment need to be displayed for users as company only. Company segment we don't want to display with other name. Prompt means display name, company only. Short prompt. You can give the same name or else you can give the short name. This you may keep as a short prompt. Okay. And display width. So when user is going to create the transactions, the field name would be company. What should be the field size? Now this, you see this field size is up from here to here. This field size is very small. This field size is small. This is very small. This is big and it's very big. Same way for company segment field size, you need with how much display width. How many character display width you need. So I'm giving 30. Okay, 30 characters. And column name, already we discussed, max you can create up to 30 segments in the chart of accounts. You can see here. So column name is nothing but which segment it is going to be. You can click on search. You can type segment. You can see up to 30. Okay. 1 to 30. 30 segments we have. So we are creating first segment, select segment 1. Now segment 1 we are using for company. The same segment won't be available to use for other segments. Now, other point we discussed here as per our chart of account creation, we have to create the segments and we have to assign the value sets to segments. Okay, the value sets we have to assign to segments. Here, assign our company value set to company segment. Default value set code. So mandatory. We have to assign company value set to company segment. Just now we created value sets. Search and find. Name is Amex company. This is how we created value set name. Search. Select. Say OK. So company value set we assign to company segment. And what else we discussed? Assign segment labels to segments. Now for company, which label we have to assign? Primary balancing segment label. Why we have to assign? We not yet discussed, we will discuss. Don't try to understand why we have to assign, why we have to assign. We will discuss. Not now. We have to wait for some time. There is a point to understand. But now take this only this point, blindly assign. You'll come to know why we are assigning here. For company segment, we have to assign primary balancing segment label. Let's see that. Here we have a segment labels. For company, we have to assign primary balancing segment label. Here, check in this list. Okay, here is the primary balancing segment label. These are the segment labels. The name is primary balancing segment label. Okay. So select it. You can double click, it will be selected. Otherwise, remove this. You can select like this and you can click on select, do this. Okay. Simply you can double click, it will be selected. Primary balancing segment, it is selected. That means the primary balancing segment label we are assigning to company segment. And for company segment, we assign company value set. Okay. Just remember how we are creating the segment. Say save and close. Just click on save and close. We created one segment in our chart of accounts. Okay, we created one segment in our chart of accounts. Now we'll create few more segments. Click on create. And here you can give the name as department. You can give the name as department. Use tab, it will copy the same name as the API name. API means application programming interface. That is purely for technical purposes. You can use this field. The same segment code you can take as a segment name, segment description, sequence number. It's going to be second segment. Within our chart of accounts, this is going to be second segment. And prompt is nothing but display name. How you want to display department segments to users as a department only. If you give some other name, it will be displayed as with other name. Take same. Short prompt, you can take the same as a short prompt, or else you can make it very short. And display width. Okay. And display width. So the field department segment field display width should be 30 characters. It would be almost this much size. And select column name as a segment 2. For a department segment, we created department value set. Assign department value set to department segment. Search. Here you can find out value set name as Amex department.
So quick question on
please.
On the display. So we set it to 30, right? Display width. So
Correct.
what is the purpose of display width?
So this field, see, this will become field when user is going to enter. Now, what is the here field name? What is the field name? This field name description, right?
Yes.
For description, what is the field size? How many characters text you can enter? Maybe
Yep, but we already going to get it
40,
from the
50. 50, right?
Okay, got it.
This field size. So how many
Okay.
numbers, how many codes you want to enter with how many characters that already entered as a 4 and 5? That's different.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Now, for department segment, which label we have to assign? Cost center segment label. Why we will discuss very soon. Okay. For now, let's assign. So for department, we have to assign cost center. Here is the cost center segment label. Double click, that would get selected. Say, save and close. We have to create one more segment, that is account segment. Just click on create. You can give the segment code as account. Copy this segment code and take as a name and description. And sequence number, third. Okay, third. Fine. And prompt, same. Short prompt, you can take SCCT account and display width 30. Okay, and here column name, it's going to be segment 3. Segment 3. Default value set code. Okay, default value set code. Just search. Our value set name is Amex account. Select and say okay. For account segment, what label we have to assign? Natural account segment label. Why we have to assign, we will understand later. Now you assign. Here is the natural account segment label. Just double click. This would get selected and say save and close. Say save and close. Just click on done. Now we created value sets, we created structure. Within the structure, we created segments. For segments, we assigned value sets. During the segment creation itself, we assigned value sets. And for 3 segments, we assigned 3 labels. For company, primary balance and segment label, department, cost center, account, natural account segment label assigned. Now, by copying this chart of account structure information, we have to create the instance. Okay. So in the system environment, whatever we are creating that you cannot use directly, the chart of account structure, now whatever the data you provided that you cannot use, you have to make a copy of the same, then that copied definition you can use in the system to create the transactions. The chart of account structure we require to maintain the data which is required for your transaction description purpose, but directly you cannot use. Against your chart of account structure, you have to create the instance. Let's see how to create the chart of account structure instance. So here, by clicking on manage structures, we created our chart of account structure, right? We'll go and see once again. Manage structures. Here you can find whatever we created. Amex accounting flexfield. This is the name we given. Right? Amex accounting flexfield. Now go to manage structure instances to create the structure against our to create the structure instance against the structure. Whatever the chart of account structure we created, by copying that structure, we are going to create the instance. Click on manage structure instances. Click on create. Okay, click on create. Here you can give the instance name. What name we given for structure? Accounting, Amex accounting flexfield. Let's provide some different name for instance. I'll give the name as Amex accounting flex. I'll just simplify this. Even you can find the difference which is structure and what is the instance. Okay, this is structure name. This is how we are going to create instance. Okay. Instead of writing flex field, we are going to take as flex. You can take the same name. Now we are going to practice when we are going to do the setups where the system is displaying the Amex accounting flex field or Amex accounting flex. That means structural instance we are using, that you need clarity for that purpose. I am taking the different name. Otherwise, structure and instance, you can take the same names. Okay, fine. What we have to do here, we have to click on. You have to click on manage structure instances and click on create. You can give the name as Amex accounting flex. Okay. Once you use the tab, automatic will copy the same name. It is copying for as API name. This is also same for mapping purpose. Your technical people are going to create any integrations or they are going to develop the reports or any other integration or customizations. They can use this API name as a mapping purpose. So you should not touch this. Okay, you just provide the structure instance code and system will copy the name automatically. Now you can take the same structure code as a name also. Okay, structure instance code we are taking as a name and you can take as a description also. Now we are going to create this chart of account structure instance, but we want to create this by using which chart of account structure, that you have to select here. Structure name. Select structure name. What we created is Amex. Here you can see Amex accounting flexfield. Amex accounting flexfield. How many segments we have? 3 segments we have. Okay, we have 3 segments. Now, within this chart of account structure, we have these 3 segments. That's what system is copying. Once you select, it is copying. Now, these 3 we have to select for this instance. Okay. If you select partial segments, no, it doesn't work. All you have to select. How many segments we have in your structure, that's all you have to select as a, these segments are required into this instance. So here select company. Here you can see one column called as required. Okay, out of these 3, nothing is selected as required. Now we are going to mark those 3 as required. Select company. Click on edit. Mark as required. Say OK. Select department. Click on edit. Mark as required. Say OK. Select account. Click on edit. Just mark as required. Say OK. So this is how we can create the chart of account structure instance. Very simple. You have to provide these names and select structure. The same segments it will copy into this instance. All you mark as required. Say save and close. Click on done. The structure you cannot use directly. You have to create the copy of the structure, that is instance. Why we have to create instance? Why we cannot use the chart of account structure? Already we discussed Fusion means different applications, not only Oracle. So they acquired many products to establish, okay, to make the collaboration across all these applications. They have to follow many logics behind those logics. So this instance need to be created, otherwise you cannot create the transaction. Instance is mandatory. Without instance, you cannot use the chart of account structure. So here, if you count these setups, we completed almost. Now we have to submit our accounting flex field for a deployment. Okay, so we have to deploy accounting flex field. Whatever the chart of account structure we created as a standalone, you cannot deploy. You cannot select your chart of account structure for deployment. Deployment is nothing but validation. We have to submit for validation. When you submit for validation, what system will do is, in your chart of accounts, okay, in your chart of accounts, fine, in your chart of accounts, these labels are assigned or not, system will check. Okay, this is a very important point. In your chart of accounts, these two labels are assigned or not, it will check. These two labels are assigned or not, it will check. In any chart of accounts, the primary balance and segment label and natural account segment labels are not assigned, it will fail. It says, this is what wrong in this chart of account. That means it says balance and segment, the primary balance and segment is not assigned to company, or natural account segment label is not assigned to account. That similar message it will display. So whenever you submit your accounting flex field, within the accounting flex field, whatever the chart of account structure you created, within that, make sure that primary balance and segment label and natural account segment, two labels are assigned. If you don't assign cost center segment label, no issues. Why these three are required? When you understand, you will understand this difference. But as of now, the simple point is, in any chart of accounts, the primary balance and segment label or natural account segment labels are missing. Okay, the deployment, the validation will fail. Remember this point. Okay, the deployment, the validation process will fail. Now we'll go and submit for a deployment. So for our practice purpose, I'll do one thing. I'll go to another chart of account structure. Click on search. Here we have many. I'll open any one of the structure. Click on edit. They created two segments. I'm selecting company segment. I'm clicking on edit. For company, they assign, this is not required. They assign primary balance and segment label. I'm removing. Now I will save it. Now, when we submit our accounting flex field for deployment, within our accounting flex field only, we have this Reliance chart of accounts also. Reliance chart of accounts also we have in our accounting flex field only. Now, when we submit our accounting flex field for deployment validation, within this, how many chart of account structures we have, all those it will validate and it will verify in all chart of accounts, primary balance and segment and natural account segments are assigned or not. In any one of the chart of accounts, if these are not assigned, it will stop the validation process. Say, I am practicing. I created my chart of accounts without any issues. I created 3 segments. For company, I assigned primary balance and segment label. Account, I assigned natural account segment label. Department, I may assign, may not assign cost center segment label. That is secondary. We'll discuss later. Forget about it. Just for company, I assign primary balance and segment label. Now, account, I assign natural account segment label. Now I'm submitting for deployment. Same time, other user created chart of accounts and that user forgot to assign natural account segment label or primary balance and segment label to any one of the segment in the chart of account. Now, if I submit accounting flex field for deployment, my chart of account is okay. but other chart of account is not fine. That is the reason the deployment process will get stopped and it will display the error message in so and so chart of accounts. Okay, in so and so chart of accounts, there is issue. The issue is what is missing. Okay, there is issue. What is missing in that system will give the message. Based on that, we have to go on to correct it. We have to go on to correct that. Okay, so this is what system will verify. If any other chart of account has some issues, the deployment process will get stopped and we have to fix that issue. We have to fix because we want to submit our chart of accounts also for deployment. We have to fix, then you can proceed. Let's see the same. Now for our testing purpose, intentionally, we removed primary balance and segment label from one of the chart of account structure. Now what system will do, we'll see now. Now click on deploy flexfield. Deploy flexfield is nothing but deploy accounting flexfield. If you click on this, within this accounting flexfield, you can see many chart of account structures. Okay, many we have. This all will be submitted for deployment validation purpose. Okay, click on deploy flexfield. So it will detect the issues in the chart of accounts. See, error in the deployment. Okay, so here you can see one error, 0 warnings. What is that error? You expand it. Okay, flexfield metadata validation. Expand it. Okay, so here it is showing one error, flexfield metadata validation error. What is the error here? You can see. Scroll little down. Okay, here it is giving the message. You read that message. Try to read the content, which you can read it, which you cannot read, ignore it, and ultimately you find the meaning of it. See here, you must assign a required labeled GL balancing. GL balancing nothing but primary balancing segment label. Is saying you have to assign primary balancing segment label. Here balancing we have. Balancing refers, okay, primary balancing segment label. It is talking about this. Here the term is balancing. That's what you have to understand. So you must assign a required label called as GL balancing to at least one segment. The balancing segment label you have to assign to at least one segment in the chart of account. Ideally, that is a company. So that is missing where here you can see the structure name. Okay, the structure name is 01 underscore REL. You need to assign required segment label. Okay, the same message. Again, it's repeating. Fine. So here you can find the structure name. Here you can see structure. The structure name is 01 REL. This is how you will get a message. With any chart of accounts, any primary balancing or natural account segment labels are missing. This is how you will get a message. You have to fix it. If you don't fix, you cannot submit your chart of accounts also for a deployment. Okay, you should fix this. So chart of account structure name is 01 REL. So here deployment status is error. Again, from here also you can see the error message. Deployment error message. Click here. You will see that. So here you can read the same. It is just repeating multiple times. So you can read here. Okay, you must assign a required label GL balance to at least one segment. The structure name. Structure name is here. See, the structure name is 01 underscore REL. And again here, and you can read this completely talks about the same. Okay, the one need to be assigned, and here the structure name is same. And again it will just display. Okay, structure name is same. Okay, in different ways it represents, ultimately talking about same. Sometimes when you submit for a deployment, the issue you may find with the 2-3 chart of accounts also. You have to fix it. When you are practicing, definitely this is a kind of task which we have to perform, no other way. So if any other chart of accounts has some errors, we have to fix it. This is one time only. Every time you don't do. You create your chart of accounts, ultimately you submit it for deployment. After deploying, if somebody is creating chart of accounts, without any proper data, without assigning the labels, no issues. We don't need to worry about it. Our chart of account is deployed. After us, if somebody is going to create something, no issues. That we don't need to worry about. Now we'll go and fix it. Go to manage structures. What is the structure name it is giving? 01 underscore REL. This is structure that error message is referring. Click on search. Click on edit. The code they given like that, name, this is what they given. A company, select company, click on edit. A company no label. For testing purpose, we only remove. Select primary balancing. Now say save and close. Save and close. Click on done. Now you again submit for deployment. Now see the status is changed. We did some changes. System is updating the status as within the accounting flex field. Some changes are done. That's what it is showing deployment status as a edited. Now click on deploy flex field. Click on deploy flex field. Still, if any errors with any other chart of accounts, it will display. So we have many chart of accounts. The deployment process will take time. When we are working for your client, when you create the chart of accounts, once you click on deploy, even it won't take 1 minute time also. Before 1 minute, complete all the validation will get completed. But this is a practice instance. So you have many like structures in this. So it will take some time to validate all one by one. Takes time. Let's wait for max 2 minutes. Okay. Won't take more than 2 minutes. I'll just pause the recording also. We no need to record this waiting time. I'll just pause the recording. Once the deployment complete, very close to 100, we'll proceed. Let's wait for 2 minutes. This will be completed. In between, if you get any errors or warnings, yes, that also will. So almost it took 3 minutes time, 3 to 4 minutes. Now you can see deployment completed successfully. Okay. So no errors, no warnings. If you find warnings, no issues. Okay. Warnings won't stop from deployment. If you find errors, errors only will stop the deployment process. Just say okay. Now you can see the deployment status is deployed. And sometimes in some instances, okay, when you go and submit for a deployment time also, if any other users are working on that instance, okay, you will get same message. See here. We are not using this instance. Okay, this is very, very old instance. Nothing is working in this instance. That is the reason. So still many people are on this. So this I'm not sharing. This nothing works in this. So I'll try to submit for a deployment. So it's ending with error. Here what is it saying? Another user is currently editing or deploying the flexfield. This is error message. Okay, this is how you get error. When you're practicing in some instances, the same time, the moment you just click on deploy flexfield, if you submit, the same time, if other users are creating the chart of accounts or segments, or already they submitted that accounting flexfield for a deployment, you will get this kind of message. In this scenario also, you have to wait for some time. Okay, after waiting, you can submit for a deployment. Otherwise, if already submitted for a deployment, you don't need to submit for a deployment also. Whether our chart of account is really deployed or not, that also we can check. How to check, we'll come to know soon. So this is what we have to understand about how to create the chart of accounts. Here, we have to create segment values and we have to assign value attributes to segment values. So this we'll see in the tomorrow session. Okay, tomorrow session we'll see how to create the segment values by using our chart of account structure, and how to assign the value attributes to the same segment values. We'll see the system. Okay, after completing this, what is the next setup we have to perform? We will discuss and we'll proceed accordingly. So any questions on today's session, please? We're done for today. If you have any questions, you can stay back. We can discuss. If you don't have any questions, we'll connect tomorrow same time.
Lakshman
Thanks.
Prasanna here. I want to discuss about.
Yeah, we'll discuss. Before that, any questions from others? No questions. One second, let me stop the recording. This is different, right?